recipe next week as well.
It's a bit of a kick, doesn't it?
Yeah, it actually is really, really nice. Hello and welcome to our kitchen. My name's Tracy and we are going to be making a beautiful pasta dish today. Just before I introduce my special guest here, if you're watching us live, you can wave or click like or even love or wow if you want to. I've got my new glasses on today, just in case you're wondering.
They do look good.
They're a cross between Where's Wally and Harry Potter, with a little bit of elegance thrown in. So today we're going to be cooking this beautiful pasta primavera. So we're talking about lots of lovely fresh spring vegetables. And I'd like to introduce you to Jan.
Hello.
And Jan is a Cooks Collective member, and she's come in the kitchen to cook a bit with me today to do this, because Bry's on a bit of annual leave. So missing you, Bry. But it's wonderful to have Jan in today to help us. So you've just chopped up some pancetta there. Do you want to add that to this little bit? Beautiful.
I've just taken off, the skin. And Tracy, why would you use pancetta over bacon? Is there much of a difference?
I think, look, you can certainly put bacon in instead of pancetta, especially in this dish. Bacon will have a bit of smokiness to it. Australian bacon will have smokiness to it, whereas pancetta's not smoked, so it's just got that lovely salty bacon flavour. So I just didn't want to overpower the spring vegetables with too much smokiness from the bacon. So pancetta can be bought in little sort of chunks at really good, good food places. I don't think they sell it at the supermarkets, but you can see here some of the pancetta that's been in the pan. It crisps up so beautifully. That's the thing that I really like about it. I think the cameraman's already got a question for us. If you're keen today, everyone. It's not a question. Oh, from New Zealand, someone likes my glasses. Thanks, Ellie Armand-Jones. Love you too. You remembered to say that, didn't you? That was really awesome. I'll bit later on. Okay, so you can see that the pancetta, some of the pancetta that we put in a little bit later on is not quite as crispy as the other one. That's okay. It'll all come out in the wash. But what you want is these lovely little crispy pieces of bacon here. So it's from the belly of the pig, and
fat gives it flavour, doesn't it?
Fat gives it flavour, gives it moisture, and I actually put that in the pan without any fat whatsoever in this. So it's quite important that you understand that there is a lot of fat that actually renders out. So when people are talking about fat rendering out, you can see all that fat that's rendered out into the pan. Put it in a dry pan, out comes the fat, it fries up beautifully. If we didn't have any fat in this pan, if we were trying to do this with, say, prosciutto, wouldn't work because it's too lean. It needs the fat to fry and make it nice and crispy. So, but you know, balance your meals out. A little bit of fat does no one any harm. The right fat, though, of course, the right fat, not refined fat, just a little bit more natural. So in a second, I'm just going to take this out, and this might actually work quite well. You know, sometimes when you're doing dishes and you go, oh, that didn't quite, you know, it's the first bit cooked a little bit quicker. But in actual fact, probably in this finished dish, it'll actually give quite a lovely flavour, the other pancetta that's not quite cooked. So you can see we've got quite a bit of oil in here. I'm actually going to take some of that oil out, or fat out actually, so that we don't have to eat all of that, but I also want some to fry the onion in, so it's really important not to take the whole lot out, otherwise the onion won't fry. But I'm just going to pop that in the bottom of my bowl here.
And I'm not crying because I'm doing this, Tracy. I'm crying because this onion is quite strong.
And when you chop it up as well, a bit slow or not slow. I'm not saying you're slow. I didn't say it.
Charming!
Charming!
Not a very good job with the chopping board.
But just, you know, because you've just been standing there waiting for me to finish, so I've made you slow. It's not you slow at all.
Made me cry.
So, yes, and I can smell that it's actually quite a strong onion just here. So when you're standing there with the onion coming up, I know she's actually feeling quite emotional, everyone. She just pretends that she's not, but she is quite
I learnt
emotional.
a tip when I was first married. Someone said to me, if you've been out all day, just come home, put an onion on to cook, and the smell of the onion in the house makes it seem like you've been home all day.
That's a good cheeky trick, isn't it? Even though your hair's looking gorgeous and nails are lovely, you've got a new dress on.
That's it. That's it.
Oh, that's lovely. So I have seasoned the onions because it's important to season the base of our sauce. Did you have another comment or question there, cameraman? Or Oh, Bry's at home and does she want to ask a question, Bry? Or no? No questions from Bryony Carter, just watching us. That's lovely.
Sitting on the
Like
couch
that.
with a cup of tea.
Yeah, very, very nice. So, I want to get a little bit of colour on those onions, so I'm going to turn it up. My water is now boiling as well, so when you're boiling pasta, you're going to need a lot of boiling water, because the pasta needs to dance around like this in the boiling water, you see. That's pappardelle, like that. And you can see that it's actually quite sort of large, flat pieces, and it's actually really quite nice with this creamy sauce, isn't it?
So it makes a difference, the type of pasta to the sauce you're
Well,
using, doesn't it?
you know what? I was thinking, because Jan cooked this at home, didn't you, last week? And what did your husband say about
My
it?
husband was very complimentary. He's not a pasta fan. He will eat anything I cook, but he actually said it was delicious, given that it was pasta. So,
Well, I think, you know, I'm not trying to sort of blow our own trumpet, but I think obviously that pasta is right for this
Yes.
sauce as well,
Yeah.
because it's got nice wide pieces of pasta. It's sort of the sauce will cling to it as well because it's good quality pasta. So we've only got 250 grams there, but that'll be ample for 4 people.
Oh, we ended up with 5 dishes
Yeah.
out of ours. It was great.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, it does depend on your sauce. More of a saucy pasta, I think, is quite good with the pappardelle or spaghetti, longer pasta. Although, you know, sometimes with this could absolutely go with penne or something like that as well, because Jan's got some beautiful fresh local asparagus. So
I have, and you'll just notice I've just snapped the bottom off, just the woody end on the bottom. It's not very nice to eat, so I've just taken that off there, and I'm just going to cut them in 3 centimetre
and do you know
pieces.
what? Yeah, something like that.
Angle,
Chloe.
you could put them on an angle if you wanted to. Straight doesn't really matter, does it?
Doesn't matter. It's
No.
not going to change the flavour, is it?
No.
If you like the look of cutting them on a little bit of an angle, go for it. But I actually, you know, there was a time in my life that I always did carrot batons and angled long vegetables like this. And now I'm actually like going back and going, let's just do carrot rounds, you know? Carrots are round. Let's just do... And I've got this round thing going on, haven't I, with my body and my glasses.
Don't go there.
I feel so much comfortable with round things on. I don't know that I must tell you that the cameraman is nodding a lot, which is not, you know, particularly nice, is it? But we could just say, yes, he loves a little bit of femininity. That's lovely, darling. Okay, so we've got a little bit of colour on the onions. This is the longest bit, isn't it? Actually,
It is,
cooking
yeah,
the
just
onions.
waiting.
But
Yeah.
as Jan said, that smell in the house
Think
will
you've
have
been home all day.
everyone foxed, thinking that you've cooked
Exactly.
something amazing. Well, you are cooking something amazing.
Actually, one thing I thought of the other day was cutting it up, just making sure it was small enough to put in your mouth, because there's nothing worse than getting a big piece of vegetable
You're absolutely
that you
right.
can't try to
I'm
get
always
it in your
saying
mouth.
that. Always saying that. And the cameraman as well is a great one for if he can eat something with a spoon and a fork, relaxing, then he'll do it. So if you've got, if you need to cut something up, you need a knife, don't you? But if you have something with a fork, but you can't eat pappardelle. Well, you can if you twirl it round with a spoon, couldn't you?
You can.
Yeah, you can. So I've popped a little bit of garlic in the sauce now, and we're going to add the vegetables. So we've got asparagus, we've got broccolini, which is beautiful, local at the moment.
Really
I'm sure the
sweet
snow
and lovely.
peas will be, sugar snap
Sugar
peas
snap
will be
peas,
local.
and I've just taken the threads.
String off.
Yep.
Yep. So you do it, but you do it with your hand, and you just snap it and
Yep,
pull
pull
it
it down.
Pull it down.
Yep.
It's
On the
down that
top.
side of the pea, not the outside, but the inside.
Inside
so
like that.
Let me. Yeah.
So it gets
So this side. That's where the string is, not so much the outside.
right.
Although sometimes they have outside
Yeah.
strings, don't they?
So there's nothing
All
worse
right.
than when you're trying to eat it and you get this big piece
Oh
of
no, it's
string
horrible, isn't
in
it?
your mouth.
Horrible, horrible. All right, so those all go into the pan now because we've got all those lovely flavours. I'm just going to ask Jan to swipe them all in there.
Yep.
And look, you can play around definitely with the,
They end up on the
whichever's
floor.
easier, with your hand or with the knife. It doesn't really matter. And we've got the chobs to stop
doing
them
a very
from
good job
moving
here.
around, but. So you can see this is a pasta dish that you can certainly feel okay about eating because there's more vegetables than there is pasta, which is fabulous because quite often pasta is just done with a tomato sauce, and whilst that's veggie and nice, it's still not really enough, is it? But look at all these beautiful spring
smells
veggies. So you could
divine.
put perhaps broccoli in here. You could put some nice beans if you find some nice beans.
Would you keep it green, do you think? Or could add a
I
bit of colour?
would,
Yeah.
only because, look, it depends on how classic
Yeah.
you really want to be with it. Because, you know, you could you could dice up a few little tomatoes in there, put some cherry tomatoes in at the end, which would be really nice as well. But Primavera is the green spring vegetables.
Yep.
And I'm going to put a little bit of white pepper in here as well. So I've actually just discarded our pepper grinders because they were just too coarse. So we've actually just ground up some white pepper here from the peppercorns. Oops,
didn't want
in a mortar with a pestle, and it's just fantastic. So we're going to pop this. You want to pop that in here?
Sure.
Thank you. Just take it
Yep.
out and just plonk it straight in. So you can see our water's boiling really nice and fiercely. And
Do you oil your water, Tracy? People
I
ask
don't.
that. No.
I don't, because the oil just stays at the top. It just floats
Yeah.
at the top. So the pasta will go through the oil, sink into the water. It'll the oil will float at the top. Won't do anything to stop the pasta from sticking until you go and drain it out
Yep.
into the sink, and then the oil will stick to the pasta, and then all the sauce will just run off.
Yep.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous. So that's boiling really quite nicely. I'm just going to pop the lid on slightly on the side so we don't sort of boil over. I've seasoned my vegetables. I'm going to add some beautiful jelly-like stock. We love jelly-like stock. It's got all that fantastic goodness in it. So Bri made that last week for us. So if you make your own chicken stock and you can have it sort of just handily in the freezer. We need 4 minutes on this. I'm
So
going to
you've
do
really
this
got to watch the pastas too, don't you? Because a lot of them, there's a difference. The pasta I used the other day was 12 minutes. This one's only 4, so you've really got to be careful.
Read the instructions
Yes.
on the packet. Absolutely, absolutely. Bring it up to the boil very quickly, otherwise it just gets soft and just starts sticking to each other next to the thing. So I've also got some cream, because what is life without cream?
Oh, that's what my husband
Life
says
is
too.
nothing. Well, I've often joked in the past, sort of saying, you know what, when you have cream in your dishes, you get strong nails and teeth
Good
and
calcium,
bones and
absolutely.
good calcium. But, you know, as part of a very varied diet,
Yeah.
dairy
Bit
is
of
so
everything.
important,
Yeah,
isn't it? It's
absolutely.
a great way of getting calcium. Look at that, beautiful, beautiful colours in that. I'm just going to pop the lid on just quickly. Just to keep that nice and warm, just to get those vegetables to just cook through. So they were all raw, and they're going to cook in that sauce really very quickly without overcooking. So we're going to get that lovely soft pasta. We're going to get the crunch of the vegetables as well, and the saltiness, the sweetness of the vegetables, and the saltiness from this beautiful pancetta.
And
you've
we've
just
got some fresh spinach leaves here, and we've got some baby peas. Now, would you defrost them first, or just throw them in frozen?
You don't
Doesn't matter.
necessarily need to defrost them. I
Okay.
think there's only about 80 grams or
Yeah,
something
it's
there.
not a
So,
lot.
and
And
I
cook
really
quick.
like those baby peas that are frozen, because
they're
they're
beautiful.
frozen when they're so fresh.
They're lovely.
So sometimes if you think, you know, if you buy some fresh peas and they're grown in Queensland or New South Wales, how long has it taken for them to come over here? We just need to make sure that they're Australian peas, don't we? That they're
Definitely,
not coming
yeah.
from overseas.
Yes.
But they're just such a beautiful, sweet thing. Of course, if you're growing peas in your garden, we've just had our first harvest of sugar snap peas and snow peas from our shade house this week. And oh my gosh.
What's your address now?
They're all gone, actually. We're waiting. There's lots of
Yeah.
flowers, but we're waiting. We're
That's what
waiting
we
for
used to
them.
find when we'd grow peas, and the kids would go out to pick the peas, and we'd get the bowl of peas, and there'd be not many left in the shell, because
No,
they'd be
so delicious.
And I'd think, well, they've got their peas in for the day.
Absolutely,
Doesn't matter if it's in the
absolutely.
plate.
Doesn't matter. No, absolutely. All right. So I'm going to also add some. Let's just pop this over here. I'm also going to add some chili flakes to this. We were talking about it earlier, that we really quite like this sort of slight kick. So you've got sweetness of the vegetables, the crunchy, you know, beautiful pancetta, and just a few little chili flakes. How beautiful is that?
Very
Just makes a big difference, I think, doesn't it? So absolutely delicious. And we're going to add the spinach into there. So you could certainly add some, like I've got Cavolo Nero black cabbage, the black kale growing in
okay.
the garden still, and I would
Will
add
it
that.
take a bit longer?
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think so. I really don't, Jan, because I think, especially if you've got it growing in your garden, there's beautiful long leaves
nice
like
and
this that are
fresh.
not too
Not woody,
old.
yeah.
So, no, I would just probably shred them up.
Yep.
And
Shredding.
let's get this up to a boil. Shred them up and add them instead of the spinach. So it's not quite as coarse as regular kale.
Yeah.
So now Jan's just going to cut a couple of basil leaves up just to finish this off. So why are we putting these in at the end? Why are we not cutting these beforehand?
What's that?
The basil.
Basil. It gives them a stronger flavour.
Yeah, and it'll also discolour as well. But herbs like that, you're absolutely right. If you can cut them at the last minute, broadleaf herbs, as a general rule of thumb, are better added at the end of a dish.
They bruise once you cut them.
They do bruise, and that's
really
what makes
easy.
them go black. And much better at the end of the dish, because then you've got... Okay, I'm going to put half of that in.
I don't chop up mine very small. Would you?
No, I like that. Like, oh, there's some basil.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. It's
beautiful.
delicious.
Adds to the sweetness as well.
You know what? I reckon if you've just made a regular... What do they call it? Not a white risotto. Do they call it a white risotto?
I was going to say that before.
Blonde risotto? And then stir that in to the end.
There's quite a few recipes
my
out there
gosh,
for
it'd be
risotto
beautiful.
primavera.
Oh,
Really
okay.
nice,
I
yeah.
thought I was the first one to come up with it.
Oh, sorry, Trace. I was actually going to mention it before.
For goodness sake, have the Italians
Sorry.
already thought of that?
They have,
Actually,
like most things.
actually, yesterday I was at Gilbert's, and the springtime is such a beautiful time for vegetables, and got talking to this lovely Italian lady. They were the cutest little artichoke, globe artichokes. And I was saying, oh, what are you going to do with those beautiful artichokes? And she said, I don't know. She said, I think I'm going to give them to my mother-in-law because she's got more time than me. But they're so beautiful, aren't they? I just have to buy them. We were joking and saying, you know, most girls would probably say, you know, that sort of thing in a shoe shop. When are you going to wear those? Oh, I don't know, but I just love them and I have to have them in my wardrobe. Which is perfectly acceptable, of course.
Other people like them. I
But
would
it's
do
just-
something like that.
I know,
I'm
it's
glad
just
there's
so
someone else like that.
exciting, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's really, really lovely. So she had a nice glass on too. I knew we'd get on. And it was
all
just
in
a
the glass.
really, really lovely sort of conversation to have with a complete stranger there at the
Food brings
Fruit and
people
Veg.
together
Yeah.
one way or another.
Yeah, it certainly does. This colander has never
So you're
been
keeping
very
some
good.
of that water?
I'm
to
keeping
put
some of the
into
water
sauce.
inside, because when you're making a cream sauce, oh, I've just turned my sauce off. When you're making a cream sauce, you've just got to ensure that you've got enough liquid sort of on the pasta and in the pasta. So if you're not quite ready for the pasta, no, what am I saying? So I'm thinking ahead, thinking we need the plate so that
yes.
so if you just, I'll take the
Very
basil.
handy.
And you keep the plate there, so you're going to just put it under the camera there so that
Okay.
the cameraman can get that. So if the sauce, see with that already, that's bruising, isn't it? It just bruises so quickly. I think we're going to put it all through rather than
And you have
put
to be
some on
careful
the
when
top.
you're buying it to really look at your leaves as well. To make sure it's not
Totally,
already
but it
bruised.
does give a lovely, lovely flavour in here.
Smells divine.
Yeah, so if the cream sauce can be soaked up super quickly, I'm just going to taste this because I want to make sure that it tastes all right, because I wouldn't like to serve it up.
Make sure it's seasoned.
It needs a bit more salt.
I found I had to add a...
Do you want to taste that? That was for you to taste.
That was me, sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. I never give people a big spoonful because
No.
otherwise it burns your mouth.
Yeah.
But it's nice chili.
Yep,
but
a little bit more salt, yes.
And I tell you what I can taste as well is a white pepper. That works really, really well. You know, when you just
I
think,
think
I'm going to do that.
we've gone away from using white pepper, unfortunately, but it does have a beautiful flavour
Well,
when you use it.
I think with the sweetness of these vegetables, the black pepper is just a little bit too earthy for these beautiful things. So, as Jan and I were discussing earlier, once you've got the pasta in the dish, do you know what I want to do? Serve it up in here. I think this
That'd
looks
be-
gorgeous in
we
here.
keep it nice and
I'm
warm.
not going to move it actually. So you can move
And
the
we've got our
plate out of the
cheese.
way. We've got half the cheese needs to go in. So I just totally guessed with
Yeah.
that amount of cheese, but that's about the amount of cheese that I like.
No such thing as too much cheese when you have
No,
pasta.
that's right.
I like
This is the calcium dish and the vitamin dish with all these
Exactly.
greens in there. So I'm going to leave that like that. And what will happen in about 2 minutes' time is that the pasta will really start soaking up all the cream in the sauce. And I'll bring that round so that you can have a little look at it. And the pasta will start
smell
soaking it
vision
all
would be
up, and
fine.
it'll just thicken it up a little bit as well, won't it? I put all that oil in there. Look, it's all a bit drippy, isn't it? So I'm not going to put all of that on there.
Beautiful.
There you go. So, pasta primavera. It's taken us a little bit longer, but we have shown you from start to finish. I'm going to come
You did
round,
have
pop
a
it
novice
under
here.
here, and say thank you so much to Jan
Thank
for
you for
helping
the
me
opportunity.
today. It's
Thank
been
you.
absolutely
Thanks for
great
having
having
a
you
day
in the
off, Briony.
kitchen. Wonderful. We'll see you soon.
See you.
So for those of you who are watching live on Facebook or you're watching this on YouTube, please put any questions below that you want us to answer, and we will certainly get back to answer that. The recipe is online on our website for a week and then on the Cooks Collective forever. So hopefully we'll see you on the other side.